Okay, Wednesday, 22nd of May, 2024. So happy Bitcoin Pizza Day. So on this day in 2010, someone spent 10,000 Bitcoins to buy 2 pizzas. This is historic. This was historic for 2 main reasons. One, it showed that Bitcoin itself could be used as a pure medium of exchange without any intermediary, third party, or doing anything special like using as collateral or using it as credit card. Fair enough. But also it introduced and gave Bitcoin itself a price in US dollars, because before this event, for a year and a half, Bitcoin was trading at effectively zero only among tech enthusiasts in their community, trading it, using it as a trinket, whatever else, as a collectible, as a curiosity. But now, on this day, when it was traded, 10,000 of them were traded for 2 pizzas, we had even a market value of the Bitcoin. Of course, it was less than a penny per coin, but the point still stood. They had a price, and that meant trading could happen. That meant everything we know today, the log movement charts, the power charts, everything to come into place. The 200-day moving average, all these things could start. The whole momentum, the whole flywheel of incentives and progress could begin. That's powerful. That was one of those key inflection points in Bitcoin history. Now, other thing is the medium of exchange side, meaning that it could be used indeed to buy things in real life. That was the proof of concept. That was the moment. That was the event to look at to say, yes, it's possible. If Laszlo Hayek, the person who bought the pizzas, could spend Bitcoin to buy pizzas, then what else is possible? You name it. Books, paper, books, clothes, you name it. Plane tickets, houses. I can remember 6 odd years ago, 2018, someone, I want to say in Dubai, bought or sold a house with Bitcoin, something to that effect. So it could happen on the base layer. Now, of course, in 2010, the whole scene, the whole scenario was completely different from today. I mean, I didn't start understanding and hearing about Bitcoin and studying about Bitcoin until roughly autumn, October, November, December 2014, roughly, at the earliest. So that's quite a while ago. Fair enough. But it was that medium of exchange that proved it could be done. That's powerful, because that shows the naysayers out there that it's not a medium of exchange, but yet 14 years ago, it was used for that exact reason. If it was used back then, it can be used today for the medium of exchange in different ways, of course, and technicalities. Now, of course, these days we would use, say, Lightning to do this transaction, especially in places like El Salvador, but that's another conversation, because I'm planning to go there, but we shall see, bit by bit. So this was the inflection point. This was the first inflection point that changed the whole game. Medium of exchange and gave it a price. Those 2 things pushed and made everything else possible. And from there, the whole ecosystem grew and expanded in different ways, for good or for bad. And then history, powerful. Now, the pizzas themselves, they would be worth, say, $500 million today. There's 10,000 Bitcoin. Okay, that also shows that Bitcoin is a deflationary asset, a deflationary way of saving your wealth. Now, what does that mean? It means that 1 Bitcoin over time buys you more and more things. And this is right there, proof, mathematical proof, historical proof, everything. Because today, how many Satoshis would it take to buy 1 pizza? 1,000th of a Bitcoin, let's say, 1,000th of a Bitcoin, 10,000 Satoshis. Yeah, quite possibly 10,000, yeah. 10,000 Satoshis, quite respectable, yeah. But that 10,000 Satoshis, 10,000 Bitcoin, nicely poetic. That shows you how much the ecosystem has changed, the momentum, the pattern, the historical trends. When in doubt, zoom out. That shows you the growth over the past 14 years, where less than 1 Bitcoin, far less than 1 Bitcoin, because remember there are 100 million Satoshis in each Bitcoin, but only 10,000 of them is needed to buy one pizza, which is complete change. It just shows you that how much one Bitcoin can buy over the past 14 years, how much it's changed. It's totally flipped. 10,000 Bitcoin, 10,000 Satoshis. It's deflationary. You mine fiat, you work, you spend your time at a job earning cash then to buy a Bitcoin, and then over time that Bitcoin buys you more and more things. Just imagine if 10,000 Bitcoin in 2010 can buy you 2 pizzas, what can 10,000 Bitcoin today buy you? That is akin to asking, what can $500 million US buy you today? Well, you name it, there we are. So that shows it's deflationary. And then you can go one step further and say, well, I'm going to spend 10,000 Satoshis, $10 US in El Salvador over the Lightning Network. I'm going to buy something straight away over the Lightning Network and use it directly as a medium of exchange. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. The revolution, that was one of those key moments. And here we are today. The world has changed and we've adapted and grown and everything's happening. We're moving into the future. And it's worth understanding and remembering the history in general, knowing where the community's gone and changed, what's happened over the past decade. Some would only look at the past performance of an asset and project that into the future. And as you've seen, where the price of Bitcoin was in 2010, less than a penny, let's say, compared to now at 69, 70,000 US, it's completely changed. The whole world understanding of Bitcoin has changed. The awareness has changed. And what's going to happen in the next 10, 20 years? It'll be dreadfully, frighteningly powerful to think about it. In the future, in 10 years from now, 14 years from now, you will, just how we today say 10,000 Satoshis, we'll be saying 10,000, not even like 100 or 10 or just 1,000 Satoshis. If back then 10,000 was nothing, because I remember hearing about people who they'd have different apps or whatever else, or they'd get addresses wrong and they'd send Bitcoin here, send Bitcoin there in the thousands and hundreds, and they get the address wrong or something, and they don't bother it, they can mine that back, and they sent 200 over here, they forgot it, they got something wrong, or they forgot which password and it's lost somewhere. Just how they throw around 200 Bitcoin, and just how today we would throw around 10,000 Satoshis, 100,000 Satoshis here and there. 10 years from now, those will be astronomical numbers. For all we know, that one Satoshi could be a lot of dollars in the future. 2 Satoshis, 10, 100 Satoshis. And here we are today throwing around 10,000. It just goes to show the deflationary nature of this asset that we are dealing with. And that moment right there, 22nd of May 2010, was an inflection point. That was an inflection point. The market changed. We entered a new act, ACT, an act, where things cannot go back to what they were like before. Just how on the 15th of January 2024, when the ETFs came out, we entered another inflection point there, entered the new act, or new epoch, well, act, a bit more dramatic, where things will not go back to the way they were before. We passed that irrevocable stage, crossing the Rubicon, so to speak, where there's no going back. That's powerful. And it's worth understanding and recognizing those historical moments. And also thinking about those historical moments in retrospect, in what's called counterfactual history, where you're looking at the past and you're thinking, if this had happened, if that had happened, what if this, what if that, what if it was 9,000 rather than 10,000, what if it was 20 pizzas rather than 2 pizzas, things like that. What if it was a day later or a week later or a month later? What if they'd accepted 1,000 Bitcoin? Things like that, or a year later instead. All these different things we can think about, we can hypothesize to find out what is truly important. What was so significant about that day? Medium of exchange, proof of concept, and giving it a price. Bitcoin was trading at zero for a year and a half. Up until that point, it was arguably worthless. Now there was a market price for it, and there was proof of concept that it could be done. And this, no doubt, back then spurred on the community to keep going and keep adopting. Those that understood Bitcoin even back then would have pointed at this, which is why we still talk about it today. They would have pointed at this and said, this is a key moment in history. That's powerful. Very important to understand when you see those historical moments. Just how in the same way, the ETF's being approved, 15th of January 2024. I'm quite confident, 15th or 10th or 11th. But I also know, maybe the 11th actually, because that was on the anniversary of when Hal Finney tweeted the first ever tweet about Bitcoin, running Bitcoin. So I'm quite confident it was the 11th, but nonetheless. So yes, these historical moments, worth remembering them. And medium of exchange, today we can use Lightning Network in places like El Salvador, and there's other businesses out there that accept Bitcoin for products and services. And had a price. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. And also in the same way, it's deflationary. Your Bitcoin will buy you more things in the future, which makes sense. One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, but as it increases in dollar value, the amount of things you can buy will increase. As long as, and this is a slight catch, as long as it increases in value faster than the inflation. And if inflation is 5, 10, 12 odd percent, who knows, whatever it is, but the compounding growth of Bitcoin is double digits, 20, 30, 40, 60, I don't know, you pick a number. Well, you've more than outpaced inflation, which is powerful. That's very important. But otherwise, you will see me tomorrow.